Hey, good evening and welcome to this Committee of the Whole meeting for the month of March. Before we start the meeting, I have a couple of proclamations that I have to read out. The first proclamation, Purple Day for Epilepsy. Whereas Purple Day is a global effort to promote epilepsy awareness in countries around the world, and whereas Purple Day was founded by 9-year-old Cassidy Megan of Nova Scotia, who wanted to let people know that if you have epilepsy, you are not alone, and whereas epilepsy is a chronic neurological disorder which affects each person differently, estimated to affect more than 10,000 people in Newfoundland and Labrador, over 300,000 people in Canada, and 50 million people worldwide, and whereas 1 in 10 persons will have at least one seizure during their lifetime, and whereas the public is often unable to recognize common seizure types and unable to respond with appropriate first aid, and whereas Purple Day will be celebrated on March 26th annually to increase understanding, reduce stigma, and improve the quality of life for people living with epilepsy throughout the country and globally. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Bert Plumroy, Mayor of the town of Valley-Goose Bay, do by here proclaim March 26th as Purple Day in an effort to raise awareness and understanding of epilepsy and to support all those who live with seizures each day. Okay. Great, that's it. Thank you. So now we'll just call the meeting to order, and I'll reach out to our Councillor Rumbold.
Thank you, Mayor.
Finance.
Oh, I got to pull my microphone forward. I know that people have difficulty hearing us in these meetings, and I tend to forget sometimes. Okay, so our first item on the agenda for the Finance Administration and Policy Committee this month is the Urban Municipalities Committee Host Community info note. So there is no briefing note, there's an info note. It's correspondence that we have received in regards to what the benefit, I guess, is to our municipality if they request to become a host community. So just to summarize briefly, it's just that municipalities, Newfoundland and Labrador's Urban Municipalities Committee meetings are an opportunity for council members and administrators from municipalities with populations above 3,000 people to gather quarterly for a 2-day meeting to discuss urban issues, build partnerships, connect with colleagues, and discover the latest best practices. So there are quarterly meetings. Winter is March and April. Spring is held in May during the symposium. Summer, August, is hosted by a UMC member municipality, and fall is November. And November's is normally held during the M&L Conference Trade Show and AGM. So I don't know if this was sent specifically to us for us to discuss the possibility of being a host community, or if it's just an infographic that goes to all municipalities. But if we were to decide that we wanted to be a host community, what we would need to bear in mind is that we would arrange for a block of rooms, look for a corporate rate. We would send out the information. We would arrange the catering, the registration, and the host community typically covers the catering costs for the luncheon and the nutrition breaks. So I guess at this time it's just is it for open discussion, CAO? Is that why that was on our agenda? That's what I interpreted it as, but I wanted to make sure.
At the last UMC meeting held in Corner Brook in November, they were looking for people or communities that are willing to host a UMC, and I put our name forward. It's been many, many years since it's been here, and they told us that 2026 venues or communities have already been selected, but they would keep us in mind for 2027. So it's something to keep in mind for budgetary purposes, and if council is willing to host a UMC in 2027.
Perfect.
So
Thank you.
no decisions for this evening.
Okay, so, and the 13th council had hosted a Atlantic Mayors conference, right?
Correct.
But that was the last host thing for us, really, right? Yeah,
And
okay.
we are hosting the upcoming Labrador Regional
Yes.
meetings for MNL and PMA.
Yes, okay. Thank you. So did anybody have any questions or comments on that?
Yeah, no
Good to
comments.
move to the next one? Okay, we have a donation request. And I don't know if everybody's had the opportunity to read the briefing note, but we've had a request sent to us by the Labrador Hunting and Fishing Association. And we were approached for a cash donation of $2,000 or in-kind services of a greater use twice during the boating season for the parking and launch area at the main dock. So what we're looking at is, that would be something through F0020 for donations. And we can only approve a monetary donation or an in-kind service. So it's one of those things where it's either or and cannot be both. So we have a recommendation from staff to approve the donation for $2,000, and this will aid with the grading of their main dock parking lot. So not the service, but the cash.
Okay.
Any discussion, any questions, anything?
Any comments? No?
Okay.
Okay.
So our next one is a donation request from the Moravian Church. And this one, my computer is just not cooperating with me today. Some days I miss paper. Loading, okay. The town has been approached by some members on behalf of the Moravian Church in Happy Valley-Goose Bay for a cash donation of $5,000 and any amount of in-kind services for construction of their church manse. So their manse was removed a few years ago. They have had difficulty retaining a minister due in part to not having accommodations available. So they are expecting their project to cost approximately $250,000. They do have some fundraising efforts planned. They do have some verbal commitments made. Their timeline is, a rough timeline. Right now they're hoping for 18 months. So in the past, we have made donations to the Ministerial Association, but in specific to, certain programs that they were holding. So management recommends that we approve an in-kind donation of a water and sewer line inspection to the Happy Valley Moravian Church should it not interfere with the department's other projects at the time it is required by the church. Any questions, comments, discussion?
Nope.
They sent in more information, so that's good. You got a better idea of where they're going and what they're planning on doing, so
A timeline, and yeah, they've got a few different.
that's good.
The water and sewer inspection, that's basically, we go dig up the line ourselves, is that?
Well, and it would be on the specification that it doesn't interfere with the regular operations, but I mean, as our water and sewer department is available, they would be able to do the water and sewer line inspection, site cleanup, backfill, right? So there's quite a bit included in
Yeah,
that.
so according to the letter, basically in-kind service, water and sewer line will need to be inspected and the site needs to be cleaned up. Maybe some backfill, possibly whatever's involved with that, right? Yeah.
So, sounds. Okay.
Your mic on, Counselor?
No, it's not.
Okay, anybody else have anything? No? Okay, I'm gonna move on to my next one. This one's gonna require probably a bit more information. Hopefully everybody's had the opportunity to read through the council package because there has been I think there's 5 attachments with this one. So our next item is a property tax and business tax exemption request. So I'll read the details on this one. The town has been approached by the Amarok Golf Club for a property tax and business tax exemption. It's important to note that this is for the years 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025. The letter is dated April the 9th of 2025, so we're looking at 11 months ago. The letter states that no profits or benefits are extended to any members of the Board of Directors, that all revenue goes back into maintenance, upkeep, and expansion. The organization relies heavily on donations and grants. Previous councils have exempted from 2019 to 2022 almost $18,000 in business tax and approximately $7,000 in property tax and interest. So a total of approximately $25,000. What they're requesting at this time is for 2022, $8,000 roughly, 2023, $8,500, 2024, $9,000, 2025, $8,000, 2023, $3,100, 2024, $3,000, and 2025, $2,700. So the total amounts that they're requesting at this time is for a property tax interest write-off of $33,762 and a total business tax and interest write-off of $8,842. Grand total $42,604.66. So there's a lot, as I stated, there's a lot of information. We had, as pretty much everybody is aware, we had struggled to come up with a not-for-profit policy. It did take considerable time. So we did land on what we have right now with F0009. Part of our briefing note states that if the current policy F0009 was followed for this request, this backdated request, we would get the following results. For 2022, 100% tax relief. For 2023, no tax relief. 2024, 100% tax relief. And 2025, no tax relief. So, based on the information that has been provided to us, the recommendation that we have from staff at this point would be to deny these exemptions. So, as I said, there's a lot of information in this briefing note and in this request. So, if we can discuss what we think is the best go forward.
Okay,
So
Council?
they didn't apply for the tax exemption through the application process at all, did they?
Through the F0009
Yeah.
process,
Yeah. They didn't apply?
they have provided the information. They haven't completed the application.
So,
Or I don't see an application attached. I will look to the CAO. I don't see an application attached to our council package. I do see financials. I don't see an application.
There's no application form.
Okay.
so-
Okay. So
So the question I have on that, so would they qualify for under the policy?
well, what I just read out to you is if we were following this policy, the F0009, and I lost it as quick as that, Mayor, sorry. If the current policy was followed, we would get the following results. 2022, 100% tax relief. 2023, 0, because we're going by their financials, right? 2024, 100%. 2025, 0. And I don't know if that's just that's just in reference to the property tax and not the business tax, or is that for both?
so according to the information, they would have to pay $42,000 to the town.
That is what they are owing to the town right now. So they had been receiving their bills for 2022, 2023, 2024, so like I said, it's a very detailed package. I think what's important to note is I don't want to say misunderstanding, but the difficulty that we're having in explaining I will read you a paragraph, and it says, as the town council has been made aware, we have not been taxed for 50 years. While some staff and council thinks that there may have been a mistake by previous staff and council, we are asking the current council to review the tax issue. So I think it's really important to clarify, to clear that up and to make it understood that following the previous Municipalities Act of 1999 and now into the Towns and Local Service District Act, when taxation issues arise, it's not the town of Happy Valley Goose Bay who decides this is who we tax and this is who we don't tax, in so much as we have to follow the guidelines that the province has set out for us. So we're all aware that churches or religious institutions do not pay tax. That's not a town of Happy Valley Goose Bay choice. That is a provincial legislation. So we follow these legislations, and we were made aware that there were, and I think it's not exclusive to this one. I'm looking over at the CIO if anybody's wondering what I'm doing. It's not exclusive to this organization. It came to the attention of town staff, who then brought it to town council, and I believe it was brought to the 12th council, that they were told at that time that these missing organizations had to be charged. That, you know, if we're following the letter of the legislation, that we had to, you know, make it fair across the board and charge them business tax and property tax. Property tax for real property owned, and business tax if they're operating as a business. Am I correct? I got to get you to clarify, because I don't want to misspeak, but I know it's so intricate.
You do have it mostly correct.
Okay.
Under the Towns Act and previously the Municipalities Act, property is taxable. Councils shall tax for property tax. There are a list of exemptions, which, like you mentioned, includes churches, hospitals, post-secondary education, obviously municipal, provincial properties, etc. And then under business tax is a may. So councils may impose a business tax. But when councils do impose a business tax, it applies to all businesses, and the very last item it states is whether or not they are for profit.
Okay.
So not-for-profits is defined as a business. So if council's charging a business tax to a grocery store or a gas station, they are to tax a not-for-profit the same way that occupies space or operates as a
Okay,
business.
so the only way for us to not charge a business tax to a not-for-profit is to not charge a business tax to any business.
Correct.
Okay,
Well, at the end of the day, it's council discretion. I mean, they just state it there, they haven't paid a tax in 50 years. And they are an organization that's not for profit.
but that's what we're saying. It's not at council discretion. It's at the legislation
An absolute.
of the Municipalities Act of 1999 and now the Towns and Local Service District Act. So we have option A, charge no businesses business tax, no businesses in town of Happy Valley Goose Bay, or charge everybody.
Or look at F0009.
Oh,
again,
yes.
Because it never works.
Yes.
It does not work for everyone, and I stated that right from the beginning. This is an organization that's trying to promote physical activity, youth activity, all ages, and they got many members up there. It's, the organization is doing some great volunteer work in the community, so
Right.
it's one we could.
And
look at.
yeah, no, that's something different from what I was talking about. So what I was speaking to, sorry, was just that comment in the letter that said that we have kind of made this decision, and I just wanted to clarify that we didn't make it.
I just to clarify again, you said may impose a business tax. So when you say
May and
may, is that universal to apply to everybody? Or can we be selective on who we apply that tax to?
Councils cannot be selective.
Okay,
You can choose to charge a business tax in your municipality, or you can choose not to.
so in this case, like the point I want to make on this, I'm somewhat on the same lines as the deputy mayor, because I look at the golf club, if we didn't have a golf club, that would be a huge loss to the community. And it's run by volunteers, and it's a part of our community. It's no different than other infrastructure in our town. And I think we need to be working with groups like that to enhance our community, because without them, we'd be lost. And so it is a value to our community. I don't know if there's a middle ground here in terms of trying to deal with this issue, because there were a couple of years where they would have been 100% exempt. And is that something that council would consider? And in the other years, because of the policy, we know it's not perfect. Policies are meant to be looked at, you know, from time to time to try and improve. And in this case, you know, if they were to apply under the existing policy, they would have been exempt for those years. And I think, you know, that's probably where I stand on it. I have no issue with providing an exemption if they meet the policy. And in that case, they have met the policy, although it's albeit a couple of years late. But
Right. No, and I totally agree with you with what you're saying there, because, and I think it's great that they were able to provide that. When I say they, staff was able to provide that in the briefing note to us, because, you know, they did take the financial information and they did apply it to F0009, even though we didn't have a policy in place at that time. So, yeah, I think that that would be something that we could definitely consider when we get to a council meeting is, would we say, okay, you know what, 2022 would have been 100% tax relief, so, you know, that would be something that retroactively, that would definitely be a show of, you know, good faith and cooperation, is that, you know, although you didn't meet the criteria for the 4 years, you met it for 2 of the 4, and if you were able to reduce somebody's tax debt by 50%, then I'm sure that would, you know, be
So you would have to fundraise in order to pay
Olive branch.
property and business tax.
Councilor Winters, you have comment?
Yeah, I think the policy works. I disagree with the Deputy Mayor, and like, I mean, F0009, whatever it is, it works. I mean, it proves it works. Basically, what it says is there's years in their finances that they can afford the tax, but there are other years they can't. This is the way the policy has been defined. On the other note, 80-some-odd thousand or 40-some-odd thousand, that would cripple this organization. And they do provide a tremendous service for our community. So this is going to be a hard one to, and I kind of agree with Councillor Rumbold in looking at the retro side of looking at this from applying this policy retroactively. Maybe that's something that could be discussed, but again, for right now, this would cripple that organization, and I got to say, it would be very, very look very poorly on us if they can't function anymore. I mean, we'll be basically destroying that organization.
Okay, anybody else?
I just want,
CAO?
Just give you a little bit of further information. The reason why this is coming forward now for all these past years is that while the original letter was written in April of 2025, it was only last month, February 2026, that all the financial information was provided to the town for us to be able to review it. During that time, that lapse of 10 months or so, the MREC was working with an accountant slash auditor, work to deal with issues with the CRA and income taxes, et cetera, with that, and they finally got it resolved, were able to get their financials figured out and then brought to the town. One thing that council can consider, because some of you know the history, that it was deferred till we got a policy.
And there was no
then-
policy.
And then we got a policy, and then they were late bringing stuff in, is that maybe you can look at it as a package.
Yeah.
And consider all the years together and the timing, because, you know, exempt, not exempt, kind of,
Everything was in limbo, and people weren't sure
Yeah.
where we were
So-
on that issue.
maybe in this case, you can look at it as a whole package, one-off thing, and make a decision based on.
All right,
that.
can you come back to council for the public meeting based on conversation here? And Councillor Dyson?
So if, you know, if we have the ability to look at it retroactively and do that, and I have no problem with that, so is this going to be something that's going to be ongoing so that other organizations, other groups can come back and say the same thing? Well, we didn't, but we did. Now we're gonna give you all these financials for X number of years, and then Like, is that going to be okay?
The Amherst Golf Club has actually been meeting or in contact with the town for at least the past 6 years. Every year, and with follow-ups.
Yeah, I think.
So if somebody brand new came out of the woodwork and say we want to apply for 10 years, I would suggest council not look at it.
Yeah.
But the AMRAC has been,
Yes.
we've had meetings, they've sat in chambers, we
And
met with the finance committee.
exactly.
And I will add that we did have another application.
Yeah, exactly. The next one is the same thing, is the Labrador Hunting Fish Association, who have been in contact with us previous years, for all the years I was on council, so they are retroactive.
My concern,
But the other ones, I don't see anybody new coming in and saying, okay, I want to look at my last 10. I don't see that happening, and I don't think that should happen. But definitely these two organizations have been coming to us every year for tax relief.
and I agree with that, I've got no problem with that. What I'm wondering is there going to be other organizations that's going to come forward, and whether or not they've had contact with the town or not, is that gonna end up being something that's, well, you're gonna have to go to legal about that because you did it for this one, and like, is that gonna cause an issue?
Good question. I mean, the policy was adopted last year. Was it last year? Yeah. And for about 2 or 3 years, it was kind of up in the air. We couldn't get consensus of council to even move forward on any of these applications.
Sorry, Mayor, just my small answer to Councillor Dyson's inquiry is just to point out that, so when we were developing this huge, like, policy, F0009, at that point, we did ask town staff, how many organizations, how many businesses are impacted by this? Because we needed to know what we were dealing with. I think that was one of the questions that Councillor Winters asked was, what are we looking at? And so, I mean, it might be small consolation, but I really think we're dealing with less than 20, and I feel like the majority of them have already come to us. So, I like when we've been approving ones that that have met the criteria, and we've all sat here and voted on, I can't see anybody else who would qualify that hasn't, I can't say I can't see anybody else, but yeah, I think the ones that we haven't had any communication with are not-for-profits that are well able to pay this and who wouldn't meet F0009. So, I mean, if we're looking at who, and I do understand what you're saying is, do we have to go to legal? Because in fairness, if we're, doing for one, how are we not doing for all? But keeping in mind that criteria has to be met, and that, there wasn't a policy in place, but these people had applied, I think would be enough to negate that argument with legal.
Mayor, I just wanted to add too that we've had discussions around this table about the F009, and it do work for some, but it don't work for all, and this council knows that. There's been applications here denied. So F009, not-for-profit, doesn't work for everyone. Not everyone got exempted.
I don't think that's the point of everyone getting exempted. I think again, going back to the policy, it's based on income and whether you can afford it or can't afford it.
Yes, but they're not-for-profit, they're not making money, so.
I mean, if it came down to not everybody being exempted, we wouldn't need a policy.
Exactly.
So everybody would be
All
exempt.
right, and we can't just say, oh, they're not-for-profit, they're not making money, because we all know of several not-for-profits in this community that make,
But we also know that
significant
we've
money.
denied applications around this table.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the question on the, sorry,
Councilor O'Dell?
the question with regards to some of the not-for-profits is like in this situation, we're saying 1 year they make it, some year they don't. It's consistent, and I know that it changes with,
finances.
finances and whatnot, and if they're getting grants. But that's the thing. It was like the AMROC's been pretty consistent for 50 years. So they've been in here in this town for 50 years. One question is, why did it take? Now you said they've been in consultation with the town. So is that like during each tax season they've come and said, "Listen here, I owe X number of taxes. Is there something we can do about it?" Or has this been like 2 years after, and they said, "Hey, we've got all these taxes, but we've been exempt in the past. we really put it on the sidelines because it's town taxes, and so be it, we'll put it on the sidelines, and we'll worry about it when we worry about it. But my issues with this nonprofits and tax exemptions at 100% is, as I stated before, we're in this game together. When we get certain areas that get 100% tax exempt and they believe that they can, they end up walking away and taking care of everything else, minus, in my mind, the key priority, which is the town itself. Because again, if they can't operate, if we don't have funds, we can't operate. So we can't operate, they can't operate, because there's no town. So basically, we give back to the community. Sure, we should be. As a community and as a council, we should be giving back to the community. But I mean, I still believe that everybody has a part to play in this community with regards to what it is that they contribute to this community. So argue what you want with regards to 0%, 100% in between, so be it. But again, here's a nonprofit that generates revenue to some degree. They have a bar, they have a kitchen, and again, if they miss their mark from year to year, can they come in and have a discussion with the community or with the town? Sure. But I mean, I still have issues with F009 based on what information they provide to the town to make a recommendation whether they get 100% tax exempt. And basically on the business taxes, we exempt the business taxes, which sounds like we shouldn't be exempting the business taxes because it's either all or nothing. So we should be either you pay your business taxes or you don't pay your business taxes for everybody within this community. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
So that's the question that we need to decide too, is that if we're going to exempt you from your property taxes, should they be held liable for their business taxes? And I don't know the answer to that, obviously, but it sounds pretty much cut and dry that it's either yes or no to everybody.
Yeah, just to add, Councillor, and, you know, for the business tax is set at 4 mils, correct, CAO? So 4 mils is probably the lowest tax that we give out in town. It is the lowest. And in terms of percent, it's about what, more than half of what the regular business tax is, right? Business taxes varies from
8 up to 90?
8 up to 19. Or
No, 90, I think.
90 with banks and that,
For the
yeah.
province, or?
For a
Different
municipality.
categories.
Different
Categories,
tax
yeah.
rates,
Okay,
so,
More the lowest.
the lowest, of our tax rates is for not-for-profits.
Yeah.
And is capped at 4 mils.
Right.
So,
Okay.
okay.
Are we good to move on to the next one? Everybody?
Okay, move on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next one in line with this is a property tax and business tax exemption from the Labrador Hunting and Fishing Association. So those who follow along would know that this is much the same, that we have had ongoing conversations with the Labrador Hunting and Fishing Association. They have provided what was needed. So management recommends, let me go back. I'm going to go back up a bit. So highlighted in yellow in your council package, you will see if the current policy F0009 was followed, we would get the following results. 2022, no tax relief. 2023, no tax relief. 2024, no tax relief. 2025, need income statement, emailed February the 18th. So really the only way to test anything, we had to have something. Pretty much everybody who's asked the questions about F0009, if you've read F0009, it was like, we need a measure, we need a test, we need something. And we had nothing. And we agonized. I mean, it took such a long time. This is going back to the 12th council where they tried to figure this out. Then the 13th, and here we are, the 14th. We have something that, although it doesn't work for everybody, it does work. But in order to test the measure of F0009, we need to have everything in place for financial statements. So the briefing note on this one, again, is very lengthy. There's a lot of information. They had been working to, you know, get a, well, not they had, we had been working to get a policy in place for quite some time while they were requesting these exemptions. I think we're hearing so much from members of council. People are saying, we want to extend as much grace as we can to our not-for-profits so that they can provide the services that they do to the community. At the same time, we need to operate our town, as Councillor Odell said, in a fiscally responsible way. As Councillor Dyson pointed out, we can't, pick and choose, cherry pick who gets and who doesn't. So, I don't know. I can read the briefing note out the same way everybody has it in their package, but I mean, basically it says that it is recommended that we deny the property tax and interest exemption in the amount of $1,900 for tax year 2022, deny for $1,800 for 2023, deny for $600 for 2023. Anyway, I think the totals are up there. I'm going to scroll back up to the top. Total property tax and interest write-off requested is $7,200. Total business tax and interest write-off requested is $1,800 for a grand total of $9,000.
Okay, so this is much the same as the last one.
Another
the same.
important organization in our
Yeah.
community.
Growing.
Yeah, and that was the point. I mean, like, I understand the policy. The policy is not perfect, but it is working to some extent. But when I look at organizations in the town that's building our community, that's helping to build our community, I find it difficult not to support them.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not a boater, I'm not a hunter. But there are a lot of people in the community that are. And if we didn't have those amenities, we didn't have a dock, we didn't have a shooting range, or we didn't have these amenities in our community, again, it's like the golf course. Our community would be less. Our community would not be, recruitment and retention is all reasons why that you support these projects. If these volunteer groups are not doing this work, we have no ability to provide that infrastructure.
No.
And if some municipalities operate docks, they have facilities that municipalities run, but we have not-for-profit groups in our town that are running them and adding to our community's overall well-being. And that's where I struggle with it. And I know we can't be selective, but I think that, I think it does warrant further discussion on the policy. I'm struggling with not supporting groups or organizations that contribute to the overall well-being of our community.
Yeah, and just to point in, it's not about supporting. I agree 100% that we absolutely have to support every organization that comes into this community, and especially not-for-profits. Hunting and Fishing Association, the Amrock Golf Club, a variety of the Winter Trails, Grand River Snowmobile Club. We have a multitude of organizations within this community that operate for the benefit of this community. On the other side of the coin, from my perspective, that, again, there's a requirement that everybody that's generating something or we are providing a service to these organizations, not-for-profit or not, that we have to run a town as well. So, again, 75%, 50%, 25%, 100%, if they fall under those categories, but I still honestly believe wholeheartedly that if they are able to provide and pay for everything else that they have on their budget sheets, the town should not be on the bottom. We are the ones that's providing up front and center that need to provide these services up front, whether it's snow removal, snow clearing, trash removal, whatever the case may be. These are our responsibilities that we are trying to deal with on a year-to-year basis. So when it comes to the ability for these non-for-profits, now if they come down and say we're absolutely flat and broke, we've got no money, that's a whole different ballgame. But I mean, they should at least be making the efforts to at least assist and help the community. So if we come back and say, listen, 25% is what not-for-profits will be allowed under our policies or whatever, then that's fine. But again, all of these organizations have been around here for years and years and years. what their financial statements is. Basically, we get it in the community, the town reviews it and whatnot and so forth. But I still believe that in their agendas for what they're doing from month to month or year to year, that the town should not be the last on the list with regards to what money comes in, or what they're able to pay out or afford. And not knowing full well that it seems from my short time here is that it seems like that's the one they count on as being money in the bag. Not money in the pocket, but money that they can alleviate from and worry about everything else.
So I'll just ask, CEO, so this, if the policy was in place based on the years that they're requesting exemptions, they wouldn't be exempt anyway, correct? Based on their financials that were provided.
Correct.
And so the other question is, what recourse does the town have if they refuse to pay their taxes? We can't shut water off to a shooting dock or shooting range. There's no water and sewer down there.
That's one option for properties that have water and sewer. I mean, there's also tax collections, there's small claims court, there's,
But with the cost of going down that road,
yeah, but you asked what the options are
Yeah.
to collect?
Yeah.
These are the options available to the town.
Okay.
It could be a tax sale.
all right. Anybody else have any comments?
I don't think we'd ever get to that
Just-
point doing a tax
Absolutely not.
sale of,
No.
Just my
volunteer
final
organization.
comment, if I could, just to leave with council, because we're 7 sitting here. We really need to, I mean, if anybody wants to, just do your homework and take a look at these things and see if somebody has a great suggestion. If you sit down and you read F0009 or you read F0009, you say, you know what, I think if we just tweaked this to this, then this could make a difference. Or if somebody said, you know what, it's great that we're down to 4 mills, let's go even further down to 2 mills. Like, I don't know, we all need to, if we are all expressing a desire to have this work, then we all need to be able to, come back and sit at this table and say, this is something that I think we should consider. Because we all obviously have the same feelings about wanting to make sure that these organizations are successful. We all are under the same legislation for saying, okay, shall, may, if we're not going to impose business tax, which is, obviously that is not even something we can entertain, but we need to look at, okay, if we have objections or if we have concerns, what can we each bring forward as a possible solution? Okay?
Any other comments? Okay, unheard. We'll move on to the next one.
Okay, my next one is a request for interest relief. And again, for some reason, my computer this evening is just a little slower. Okay, this is, the town has been approached by private residents for interest relief on residential property on the agreement that the principal could be paid off in full. So the considerations on this one, the resident has consistently followed a payment plan since July of 2025, prior to meeting with our finance staff for a payment plan. And so management is recommending that we approve this interest relief for the tax year 2025 for the private residents in the amount of $2,070.50 on the grounds that the principal amount of $18,780.46 is paid in full. So we will still, basically it looks like the resident is approximately $21,000 in arrears. Will be able to pay the full $19,000 if we are willing to waive the interest-only portion. And I think this is something that, I don't want to use the word preach, but this is something that we promote here at the town offices. I know myself in the finance role before, we have taken the time to say to our residents, if you need a payment plan, if you need, or if you think that you could qualify for low-income tax relief. Reach out to our town staff. Come up with a plan. In this case, we have a resident that did exactly that. Came in, sat down, worked out a payment plan, has been adhering to that. So, you know, I think that it's definitely something that shows that these types of conversations work.
Just one question for the CAO on this one. The arrears go back to 2020. And I'm just curious as to why, how come it's gotten to that point? We're 6 years later, and now we're just looking at providing relief for interest.
Based on the letter that the resident wrote into the town?
Yeah, was there any supporting documentation or just a letter?
Yeah, there
I
should be
can
a letter there.
summarize,
I
just,
see the letter.
sorry.
Yeah,
I know that, like, in order to qualify for a low-income discount on taxes, you have to submit your
yeah,
notice of
so
assessment.
this resident is not asking for that, did not qualify for the low-income discount.
Okay,
What they're asking for is relief from the interest because of their personal financial situation led to extenuating circumstances where they were
but
unable to
I
pay.
assume staff is aware of what those issues are.
Yes.
Okay. That don't need to be shared with council,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, staff is aware, I'm
Yes.
good with that, okay.
But I think that would be another case of, when we talk about, you know, policies or things, application processes that work and how well they work. We have a lot of residents that do avail of that low-income tax reduction. But sometimes you get somebody who their income may exclude them from that, but they may have had serious medical bills, they may have had, I mean, we don't know, right? There are, and we don't, and nor do we need to know. But when you're looking at, okay, well, you know, if somebody didn't qualify for the low-income tax relief, you can not qualify, but still have a precarious financial situation. So I appreciate the willingness to work with town staff from any resident because, you know, I just think it's something that we need to encourage, is that come in and sit down and work something
Hey,
out.
thanks. Just before we go on, the next one is, it was a donation for $100. Does that come to council for approval?
For donations?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, all right.
Okay, so the
Before you
next
go on to
two I'm
that
gonna
one,
ask,
I
yeah.
have to, declare conflict because I'm a board member with the Moakley Status Women.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one is a sponsorship request. So this one reads, it reads like Denise's computer is not fast. Okay, the town has been approached by the Mokomi Status of Women's Council for sponsorship for their Give to Gain International Women's Day 2026. No donations have been made in the past directly for this specific cause, but donations have been made to this same organization. So what the recommendation that is coming to us is that we approve a donation of $100 for this specific Give to Gain International Women's Day event. And I
Straightforward?
think that's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Oh,
One thing to note is that this event is passed.
Yeah,
Not sure the date that they sent in the request, but based on our policy request that everything comes in 6 weeks prior to the event, so it has time to be looked at, reviewed, and considered by council beforehand. And generally, things that happen after, or that's come to council after the event is passed, generally have been recommended to deny.
okay. So
Okay,
this
I'm-
is-
Food for thought, not asking to change
unfortunately,
anything.
there is no date on this letter. They did not date their letter, so we can't really tell, but,
But I think it came
Yeah.
into us, I can't remember a day
Last
or
week.
two, yeah, last week.
Yeah, it's just the timing, I think.
Yeah,
is
which
the-
doesn't meet the 6 week before your event
Absolutely, yes,
request
absolutely.
timeline that is in our policy.
Okay,
okay.
all right, next one.
And our next one is no,
Uh,
deputy
are you
can't
coming
come back.
Deputy Mayor?
Deputy can't come back.
It's
no.
in relation to Libra House?
Oh, okay. Why did I think she was on that board? Because she's such a busy woman, yeah. Okay. So this one is a property and business tax exemption request. And we have been approached by Libra House for business tax, property and business tax exemptions for their property at 1 Lethbridge Street for the year 2026. So this is an up-to-date new one. And looking at this one applied to F0009, it is recommended that based on the criteria, we approve a 100% tax relief for the property for Power ID 257650.
Okay.
So,
Any discussion? No? Okay. All right.
Okay, and-
That's
oh,
it for Finance
me-
Administration Policy?
did I say, okay, I just want to make sure that that's both property and business. Because, or, I'm going to look to the CAO because
I think it's stated here.
it says title, property and business tax exemption, but it doesn't operate as a business, does it?
Yeah, all not-for-profits still are.
Okay, no, I'm just, because on the other ones I've seen the breakdown of what was business tax and what was property tax. But on this one, I'm not seeing that. So that's why I was looking to the CAO for clarity.
According to the briefing note, this is the shelter.
Yeah,
So it is not a business?
I didn't think
It would
so.
be considered housing?
Yeah, no, I thought that it may have been just a copy and paste where it says property and business, because I don't see anything relating to business tax on that briefing note.
Yeah.
Okay?
Other than the title.
Yeah, so when that one, and it is, even their letter says request for property tax exemption. So there is no reference to business, so I read it from the briefing note, but we'll just, I can already see our EA sitting there making note that when this one actually comes to the next council meeting, I believe it'll come as a property tax exemption request. And that is everything for me, thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, we'll move right on to Community Planning and Development, and Counselor Dyson, please.
Thank you, Mayor. We've got five items, actually. The first one is a Crown Lands application on Court Real Road. It is basically an application for a conversion from an agricultural lease to a grant, and that area is zoned industrial light. And the proposed land is, they're looking at the development for commercial use for storage and equipment rentals. They have the building plan, and the application is attached. That piece of land is 19 meters by 152 meters, located at 86 to 96 Court Real Road.
Okay,
So they wanna do, rental equipment up there?
Well, going by the handmade drawing, it looks like storage, mechanic shop, office.
And it says equipment rentals in their application.
and that would be light industrial.
No, and on the other side, because it looks like they're looking at, two buildings or three buildings. So one building is 50 by 150, and that's the rental building.
I'm gonna have to declare a conflict on this one, because I'm just
Okay.
realizing the applicant.
Who's it, who's the applicant?
Get it, Ken?
Well, we can't really discuss applicants' names here.
Why not?
It's a business
It's
application.
a
Business
business
is just
application,
not
okay, but the primary business owner.
Newfoundland, that's
There
who
is
owns it?
there is a family connection here, so I
Yeah.
will remove myself from this discussion.
You take that over, Jack?
You can take over here, Counselor.
So, do they already have an existing building up here? They're converting it from
No, there's nothing,
agriculture to a
no,
grant?
I don't know who owns the building. I mean, I don't know who owns that piece of land. It says, it says it's a commercial grant. Yeah, so it's up,
The application is for a grant, yeah, this was a lease, an agricultural lease that somebody had.
Yeah.
The person now, well, this company bought it from somebody a number of years ago, the lease. But with the lease, you know what it's like, you get, it expires for Crown
Yeah.
land, so they're looking to convert it to a
crown-
grant.
A grant.
And then they'll come to the town for their appropriate permits to do what they would like to do up there.
And that's what they're planning on doing. They're planning on putting 3 buildings up there. One is 70 by 20, one is 50.
That will be another process though,
by
wouldn't it? Aren't we just doing the
150.
grant part right now?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, because I always thought, all my previous years on council, that we were trying to reduce the traffic and, businesses and so on up in that area. I know it's light industrial, but we're just voting on the grant.
Just voting
Here,
on the
Well,
Crown
we're not
Lands
voting,
application to convert it from a lease to a grant.
So it's
Yes.
just a question
So
of,
what do you-
are we
yeah.
going to provide objection or provide no objection?
Right.
All this is future plans?
Yep,
Yeah.
and, I mean, that's
Okay.
what, the staff is recommending that we don't object to their application to convert it from an agricultural lease to a grant.
To a grant,
Great,
yes.
okay.
What they do down the road,
It's gotta
you
come
know,
back in.
it'll be
Another
something
application for
more complex than this handmade drawing, I'm sure.
Okay.
And it makes no sense to keep it as an agricultural property now.
No, not
with
when
all
there's-
the,
look on
like,
both sides.
Industrial on both sides of it, so it basically
Yeah.
makes no sense to even do that anymore.
That, sorry for the interruption.
Go ahead.
That whole section up there was all at one time agricultural. I believe it may have been the 10th or 11th council that, in the development regulations, rezoned it to allow for some of these warehouses and offices to be up.
Light
there, because
industrial.
Change to light industrial.
to light industrial, because there's very little areas in town where light industrial can happen. So the intent was, but the property that's now in question was from way before that time, and the person had never ever developed it, so they end up selling it. And when the
Right.
person bought it, they bought an agricultural lease.
Yes,
And still couldn't really
they can't do
much
anything
with
on
it.
it.
Because it's still
Agriculturally.
Yep,
Yeah.
Okay, we're good with that one?
good with that one?
So Mayor, you can, return.
Okay, the next one is, the next one is a home-based business, and, the applicant is looking to operate out of a room in a basement. It's actually a last extension waxing service. They live at this location. All the services will be done on location. There's only on-site parking just for a client, and it's only one client at a time, my understanding. And, of course, it was placed on the website, the full 7 days, in February, from February 16th to the 23rd. There were nothing received, from the public with any concerns on that. The application is attached, and as well, the town regulations and the conditions were also made known as well. And staff is recommending that home-based business application be approved.
Next one?
All right. The third one is similar to one that we had last month's meeting. So this is a Crown Lands application, and basically the applicant is applying on behalf of the estate of an individual, who basically lived on that property, I can't remember the number of years, his whole life.
Long time.
Yeah, so it's, the application is for a grant for the residential use, so I guess they're settling the estate. And it's zone residential varied density, and it's a permitted use in the RVD, zone with, I think the size of the land is 34 meters by 60 meters, so it's a very small piece of land, but the staff is also recommending that there be no objection to that Crown Lands application.
And this one was never a lease?
It was
Yeah.
never, no, it was never a lease.
occupied
It was
Crown
It
land.
was
occupied, yeah.
exactly similar
House
to
on
what we had
land since
last month as well.
Mid-1960s
Yep.
is what it says,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay,
The fourth one is a discretionary use application, and this property is zoned residential low. Okay, so it says residential low density, but in brackets it says RVD, residential varied density, so I'm
is
not
that
sure.
4.5 on your,
That's 4.4.
4-point home?
Yep.
Home-based business?
Home-based business?
Yep,
23 White Crystal?
23 white, yeah.
yep. So I'm not sure which one is right, whether it's residential low density or residential varied density, so we'll have to get confirmation on that. And the applicant is looking to operate an online home-based business to sell gifts and accessories. The applicant actually lives there. The retail sales are incidental and subsidiary to the approved use. No wholesale or retail of goods is externally apparent. For example, the sale of crafts occurs. It does not occur through a walk-in or drive-in trade. A home-based business is not a retail shop, nor for customer destination wholesale sales. The discretionary land use ad was placed on the website for comments from March 9th to the 16th, so that's not even up yet.
Yeah, we haven't received the comments
This is
yet.
the one we received this afternoon.
No, this is a, yeah. It says the town has not received any comments or concerns with regards to this application to date, and staff will update members if there are any comments received prior to the council meeting. The application is attached, the town regulations and conditions are also included. But the staff is recommending that this home-based business application be denied.
Okay, so that's the question I had. The recommendation is not really clear. At one point it says deny the home-based business application. And then at the end it says subject to compliance with all towns' development regulations and conditions, and provincial and or federal legislation as applicable.
And I would like to know why we're denying it.
And there's
It's a
nothing
home-based
here in the
business.
briefing note that states the reason why it would be denied.
If you read the details there, it explains that the type of operation that they're looking to operate is not permitted.
Like an online,
It's a retail, like a
Yes,
retail.
per-
It's retail, they're looking to order stuff and have it in that people can purchase from them.
and would they pick it up at that residence?
No, what they say in that one is that it would be sent, it would be delivered, hang on now, I read that too.
This is not intended to be a full commercial
Does not
storefront.
result in traffic
Transactions
congestion.
occur online and products will be shipped to the customer.
Yes,
Yeah.
so it's not, yeah.
Yeah, that was
So-
where I was
so it's
confused as
kinda
well, Counselor Dyson.
confusing.
I mean, it's not a storefront. We do ones where it says home-based business, fax and phone only. And I feel like maybe there was some miscommunication here where that one should have come across as, no?
So in the, sorry, I'm going to the advertisement now, because that has a lot more information in it. Home-based business, that are discretionary in, section 6 of our development regulations. So in 6.3.1, it gives a definition of a general home-based business and gives examples of what is permitted or what could be there. But then it lists exclusions, so what it cannot be. And this applicant has applied for something that's in that exclusion list, which is why staff recommend to deny. Staff actually explained it to them so that they wouldn't have to go through the process of the payment for the advertising and the application fee and everything else, because it was excluded. But they wanted it to go forward. And underneath the section, trying to read part of it now.
Section
The sale
6.3.
of any commodity not produced on the premises, except for personal service-related products, is one of the exclusions. So if somebody is baking cookies at their home and selling them, that is something that is produced on the premises. Ordering in from Amazon, Temu, whatever sites there are, bringing stuff in and then selling those items from your home is not permitted. That's what that exclusion part
Okay.
is.
I'm just curious, because I operated a home-based business for 16 years. And it was basically an office, and I produced a magazine. The magazine wasn't printed there. It was actually brought into the community, but all the work was done in that office. So what is the difference?
You should have been charged, no.
Well,
So,
Retro.
so
Retro.
an office is permitted.
Yeah.
So this is why we've, approved like a contracting company that does all their work outside of their home, but they have an office where they take their orders or do their books or whatever to support the business. But this one in particular excludes the sale of any commodity not produced on the premises.
Okay.
But they're not selling it from their home, they're ordering it and having it delivered right to someone else's home.
According to what the applicant spoke to our engineering staff about, was that they do a couple of different things. One is that they will order stuff in for people, and that they also order stuff in and have it held in a cabinet in a room in their home and then sell it on Facebook. So if they ordered in a dress, they take a picture of the dress and they would sell that, post it on Facebook as something for sale.
I think what I really struggle with here is that we are encouraging everybody to register your home-based businesses. And then we get somebody who says, you know what, I'm doing pretty good with this, like you said, I don't know the specifics, and I'm not speaking specifically to this business, but say I decide to order on, like you said, Temu, Amazon, a retail shop, and I've got this little side gig on the go, and it's going well for me. And I know that there are multiple cases, multiple instances of this happening in our community. So you get somebody who steps up and says, you know what, I want to be registered. And then we're like, yeah, no. And then so are we actually stopping the activity from happening? Because that's a huge conversation that we've had here. We've had people that the town municipal enforcement officer has visited their homes and said, you can't be catering out of your house, or you can't be doing this and doing that, and they're basically thumbing their noses at us. And then we have somebody who proactively comes to us and says, I want to register. And we're not, I understand the definition part of it. I'm just wondering, what would be our possible workaround?
So
Because
I guess the bottom line
Yeah.
is it's not permitted, simple as that.
It's
The
not
regulation
permitted under
does not permit
regulations.
this use.
And when those regulations are reviewed, like council has all the opportunity for input to change anything that they want.
Yeah.
Just because somebody's doing the right thing and wanting to register doesn't mean that what they're doing is okay.
no,
Okay, all right, so.
And I understand that as well, and part of I don't have an issue with that. There's a lot of information in that. There's a lot with regards to the background, the regulation, what fits, what don't fit, whatever. But as somebody who, this came to us a couple of hours ago, and there's a lot of information that I would have felt more comfortable reading it and understanding it before presenting it here tonight.
So we still have 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's
and
why it's
the,
coming to you now instead of 2 weeks from now at a public meeting where you're expected to vote on it.
Yes, because of timing and the application process and or advertising.
But it should have been in our package when we
Yeah.
received it.
Not sure when it
on
came
the
in,
5th.
but it's there. But anyway, we'll have to have that discussion.
Yesterday
Councillor
was
O'Dell?
when there was further information received from the
Yes, 'cause
applicant
March
to
9th.
bring it forward.
March 9th. it
That was
says,
yesterday, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I just got one question with regards to that application, is that it's in the regulations right now, so basically, are council's hands tied with regards to, again, making changes to say, because even have a discussion with this individual and say, well, you can't do this, but you can do this, based on our regulations. So is that something that can happen, say, well, if
That's
you want a
already
home
happened
plate,
with their staff.
that's already happened?
They were the ones that were saying, listen, you cannot do this,
But
but
you-
you can do this.
Yeah,
So if you want to do that, you can put your application through like this.
yes.
But
And they
they
didn't
were,
listen.
they were insistent on putting it through the way they wanted it.
So if
Okay,
it's not,
okay.
the question,
Okay.
the question then begs to be asked, if it's not permitted, and I know they requested for it to come to council, but it shouldn't come to council. It's not permitted.
And they asked for it to be appealed. So I said, if they want to appeal it, it's discretionary of council. It's up to council. So council, once it's reviewed, like I said, the recommendation from staff is to deny based on all the information provided. But
But I
ultimately,
mean,
it is
again,
up to
it's not
council.
permitted.
It's not
It should
permitted.
not come to council.
No, and I think, like I said, the town employees had a discussion with this individual, said, you can't do it this way, but you can do it that way, it would probably get passed. And if they opted not to do that and go against the regulations, then that's the chance they took with regards to hoping that we would pass it anyhow. But if it's not in the regulations or against the regulations, it makes no sense for us to even proceed, because now, why have regulations if we're going against the regulations? So that's from my take, is the individual should come back, have the discussion with town employees and say, let's do something that fits the regulations that we have in place.
And as Councillor Rumbold mentioned previously, like over the past, I would say, number of years that I've been around this, working for the town, we have always sent our MEOs out, or engineering check, to reach out to people who are doing things, advertising on Facebook for stuff that should not be doing it. From those contacts, we have had a lot of people come forward, put an application for home-based business, it's come to council, and it has been approved. So people are doing the right thing. It's unfortunate that some people have to be approached before they do it. Some come to us prior to starting their home-based business, but that is the process.
Yeah, and I'll just add, CAO, I mean, there's an issue that popped up today, and that we have to deal with. And it's, we'll have a discussion on that after, because it involves individuals. So we'll have that discussion, I guess, in closed discussion. Any more discussion on this one? Okay, so the next one, I'm gonna have to remove myself again, because it's the same applicant as previously.
Okay, the last one that I have is a, application for a fourplex residential housing unit. The property is zoned residential low density, and as per sections 6.3 of the municipal development regulations, a 3 or 4-plex residential housing is a discretionary use of this zone. The applicant is looking to build a 4-plex residential housing at the location. Site layout meets all the standards set out in the town's development regulations. 3.2.1, from the 2024 aerial image, the surrounding primarily consists of single detached dwellings. Discretionary land use ad was placed on the website for comments yesterday, so that'll be on for a full 7 days up until March 16th, as required by the town development regulations. Now, that was only placed there yesterday, and this briefing note says that the town has not received any comments or concerns with regards to this application to date, and staff will update members, I guess, before March 16th, prior to the council meeting. The application is attached, town regulations and conditions are attached, and the recommendation is coming from the staff that they approve the fourplex residential housing at 41 Montagnus, but that would be contingent on whatever happens between now and March 16th. And there is a print attached to where it's to and what it involves, and you know, I guess I'll be the first to say that I got some issues with this, because it is in an area of town that is primarily seniors, and just looking at the layout and the piece of land, I don't think it fits in the area, and I think there's going to be a lot of opposition to that from the residents surrounding.
So, can I ask, it's RLD, if it was a duplex, it wouldn't come to us. But even if they reduced it from 4 to 3, it comes back to us, right? Okay, so, good. And it's a single family dwelling neighborhood primarily?
It is a single-family dwelling neighborhood primarily. It's primarily the residents all around there. You know, we're born and raised here. We know who lives where. And to my knowledge, practically everybody there is a senior or is either retired or ready to retire. So it's not a new area. And just looking at what is on that drawing, I think there's going to be some opposition, and we'll find out by March 16th, I guess, if there is.
Yeah, I just wanted to add too that, same thing, you look at that land of fourplex and we had this discussion on another exact same application a few months ago that we denied for the same reason. A lot of seniors in that area, young families. Right next door to that land, there's two seniors in their 80s, and on the other side, there's a young family. To put a fourplex squatted in on that property and look at the traffic that's gonna increase there, vehicles, people, I would think there's gonna be opposition on this one as well. It just doesn't fit there.
Well, obviously, I agree with the deputy mayor, it doesn't fit there. For one, they're putting it this way because there's no room this way, right? And, you look at the surrounding areas and the size of those pieces of land, and, I also, when I looked at the measurements of that land, even for emergency vehicles going into that area, God forbid, I think it's gonna be too congested.
I guess my question with regards to this, and it'd be hypocritical to vote yes for this one here after we denied the other fourplex, because it sounds like it's not something that we want to entertain anyhow. I'm just wondering, when the applications come into the town, knowing full well what it is that what we're willing to, I guess, approve, is there an option to have these people that's coming in with these applications with fourplexes and triplexes to say, just to let you know, this is not, and I don't know, we can take this offline as well. I'm just curious from my own perspective to say, people are coming in with these applications and the town is saying, yeah, the employees are approving it, but it's coming back to the council, and the council says, we don't wanna see fourplexes in these parts of town. Can there be something done up front where it doesn't get to this point where people are putting in applications for fourplexes, knowing full well that when it comes to here, we're saying we would not like to see fourplexes in these parts of town. And I don't know if there's a quick solution or an answer for that, but.
So I won't say there's a quick solution, but if council is not interested in having 3 or 4 plexes in certain areas or certain zonings,
Right.
That's where you would put it into the development regulations. So right now, it's coming to council because it is discretionary
Right.
use. If 3 and 4 plex housing was not in the listing of discretionary use,
Which they are.
then it wouldn't be coming to you because it just wouldn't simply be allowed.
Right.
So there's your way of dealing with it if you want to deal with it on a permanent basis.
Right.
But considering that you're dealing with zoning areas and what's allowed, there may be zones or areas or neighborhoods that are different that have the same zoning where there's already maybe multiple of these existing.
Right, okay.
And it's residential low density and it's single dwellings surrounding that area, but to Councilor Odell's point, yes, it's something we definitely should look at in the development regulations.
And I guess we're on the hook until 2028, I guess, until the new regulations are due. It's not something we can change tomorrow. We had to wait until such
Yeah.
time that it gets,
Changing the development regulations is a lengthy process
Right.
anyway.
yes,
If this is something that you want to note now, that it's something you want to change,
yeah.
it's best to kind of note it now so that when they come up, it doesn't get forgotten about.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And playing devil's advocate, and
Yeah.
not saying that I would support this or wouldn't support this, but I guess if somebody says, well, you know what, there's a need for housing, I think that I could make this fit,
Yeah.
they have the right to bring it forward to us. It's just that our waiting, our responsibility is to the overall community and the residents in the surrounding area. So they have every right to bring it forward to us for
Oh, absolutely.
discretionary use. Because maybe they feel like the discussion around the table would be, oh man, we need more housing, a fourplex would be great, we don't know. And I guess for a developer, it's like, hey, if I don't take a shot, I don't take a shot, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
now the developer, if this didn't approve, may very quickly turn around and say, okay, my fourplex is now gonna be a duplex, right? I took my shot, it didn't work, but hey, here I pivot and whatever, but,
Or a house
I
with a
mean, I
subsidiary
think,
apartment or.
yeah, I think that,
Yeah, and
That's
I agree
why
with
it would come
yeah,
to us,
and that's-
right?
And that's fine, it's just, It would be nice to have the town structured where people know exactly if they wanna put a fourplex, they know where they can put their fourplexes to. So if they wanna apply for a piece of property, that's where you put your fourplexes. And this is, we're single dwelling houses, these are duplexes, whatever, or there's a mix and match. It would be nice if it was like that, so people are not coming in on these properties in this parts of town looking for certain size apartments or
Well, it's
complexes.
a piece of land that's 100 by 200.
Yeah,
And you wanna
exactly.
put 4 units on there.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Alrighty, so any other comments on this one? And do you have any more recommendations, Councillor Dyson?
that's the last one.
Okay, Mayor?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Mayor, before we move from Community Planning Committee, we discussed 214 Kellen Drive and is not here tonight. And I asked a couple times, but I haven't seen any response. I noticed in the package it said that the information wasn't finalized.
There was an email that came out, is that late this afternoon? I just noticed it earlier, actually, while I was here. The town engineer has the information and is dealing with some personal matters and unable to provide the update, is that correct? But we
Yeah, that was
can we
late.
can we get that update, like how, like when are we anticipating that? Because we're gonna go into the
It'll be
public
before
meeting.
council meeting.
Yeah,
He's due back in town tomorrow. I don't know if what he's dealing with is gonna delay him or not. But, council did have a closed discussion on it, to which the engineer said he was going to update the briefing note, but he
Yeah.
left the next day. So he was not able to provide an update
so
for
is there a
this
possibility
package.
that council, cause it probably has some financial implications, that one as well?
Well, there's nothing further to discuss at this time, because he hasn't provided an updated briefing
Okay,
note.
so when he does provide it,
It'll be
are
sent out
we-
to council.
okay,
Prior to the 24th meeting?
Yeah, as soon as
Okay.
it's available,
yeah,
it'll be
because I think
sent
that's what
out.
we're waiting on, is the updated information, because
Yes.
we need to make an informed decision.
Exactly.
Okay, all right, so, that's it for you, Counselor?
That's it for me, Mayor.
All right, moving right along, we'll go into next committee, Protective Services and Deputy Mayor Compton House.
I just wanted to mention that in our package is the discharge of the fireworks bylaw that we'll be voting on. I just noticed in, if, Director of Protective Services, Mr. Butler, there's a couple things in there that the council discussed and agreed upon that's not changed, like the time. And I don't know is that gonna be discussed? And we put a penalty in place in our budget, and that's not listed either in there.
Yeah.
So Deputy Mayor, when it came back from legal, this is what they had put together. So the piece of the permit amount and the fine amount, it was taken out and it was replaced by, as agreed by council. So with the permit cost, it was issued at the sole discretion of the town, and permits shall be subject to a fee in the amount designated by the town. So then that fee would go in the policy, F, whatever,
The fee policy.
right.
So that way, the fee policy could be updated if council want to change the amount without having to update the bylaw.
Right.
The-
Okay, understand.
Yeah.
The
We
penalties
changed the
piece is what you guys agreed to,
Yeah.
but then that penalty piece is not into the bylaw.
It's in the fee policy, but it's still the amount that we voted on, right?
Well,
But
that
will
would have to
be
be
when we
until.
get
Yeah,
So
I
budget
think
time,
when the
right?
discussion is had.
Right, you
on
guys
this,
agreed
we
to
can
the
reference
amount,
the
and that amount gets put into our records.
Yeah.
But it's not stipulated in the bylaw.
Okay.
But it would still be what you guys had.
Yeah, so that can come up during discussion and the amounts, you can certainly.
Yeah,
We
so
are-
when the ticket book is done up with the MEO and we're looking at other fees related to other bylaws, it would all be the one ticket.
Yeah.
So then those pieces
Okay.
would just be a tick off, and then that is what would be taken to the court.
Okay?
Yeah, I'm just asking that, cause during the budget, we all agreed to an amount, so when we
Right.
get to that policy, we'll
Right,
go
so I
in
think
detail. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
when legal looked at this is the way policies are done.
Yeah,
Even though you
okay.
guys agreed to that amount, when it got sent to legal, the amounts were included, but they took it out and put it
And I
as.
mean,
makes
it's
sense.
logically to do that, because the policy can change
Right.
and the amounts can change.
That's right,
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
So the amounts are agreed on by council,
yeah.
but this here is, it stipulates what
It was
council
during our
has.
budget discussions, so
Yeah.
that's part of one of our fees that we implement this
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
so.
And also changeable, which is the main thing, like, is
Yeah, I
it,
mean,
is it working? Can we lower it? Can we raise it?
Adjust it and.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The
And-
thing on the times, I thought that was, maybe legal had this before the times were amended.
Yeah,
So
And-
we can change those times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
that's up to the sole discretion of council, and that's what you guys had agreed to.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, bring it forward. We
Yeah.
can't decide on it
Yeah.
here, but bring it forward.
We
and
already,
we'll-
Yeah.
we already put the times in place, and I sent it to all the council, and Mr. Butler, probably after you had this sent to the legal. So I can resend that email to you, so everyone's included in it. So the times are listed there?
Well, like, again, it just goes back to, that goes into the policy and not the bylaw.
Right, and that's
So,
also
no, the times would go in the bylaw.
bylaw.
Yeah.
Okay.
The fine and the amount of a permit goes into
The policy.
the policy.
The only thing I had a question about was 14C. Can you just elaborate, Mr. Butler, on, it says notify any adjacent neighbors in advance of discharging any fireworks.
So what that one is that yes, you'd still have to come in and get your permit.
Yeah.
But then if you're gonna have, say, set them off in your area.
Yeah.
When myself.
Which
and
I
Mark-
can't do because
Right.
I'm section 13, which means I'm not more than 7.5
Right,
meters.
But that's the
Yeah.
piece of
Yeah.
why you apply for the permit, and then the fire chief or fire protection officer designate visits the site, follows the policy, and then issues a permit or not. The piece with, C is that, yes, the PSA would go out as well.
Okay.
But then you knock on your neighbor's doors and say, this is what I'm doing when I'm doing it,
Yeah.
putting the onus back to the person applying.
That
for
was
a
what I
permit.
was trying to interpret was, okay, will the public notice still go out?
Yes, it will.
Okay, in addition to notifying your adjacent neighbors?
Right, so it gives
Okay,
that piece of
fabulous.
whoever's on either side of you, if they
Yeah.
didn't see the PSA, they'd still, get
That's
your
where
door
I was going at. Would the person issuing the permit be, have to say, okay, you have to go visit this person, this person, this person, this person?
No, we would just
Well,
say,
addresses,
please
I
go
mean.
visit. So.
What's
then
that?
The town wouldn't be visiting the neighbors.
No, that's
The
what I
person
mean,
would be
is the person would, but would the town person giving the permit say that you, if you're applying for the permit, you have to visit,
That would be a
20,
check-off.
22, 24?
That would be a
That would be a
check on
requirement of
the
the
new fireworks
Yeah,
application.
that's what I'm saying. It's like,
Yeah.
you're not just going to one neighbor to this neighbor, because
I don't know.
gonna be a lot of
I
neighbors.
don't know if we want, yeah, but, and again, if we're talking about adjacent housing and it's a checkbox, so, and I don't wanna make this any more complicated than what it is, but would a signature of the residents that you're, I'm not gonna say infringing on because, but again, asking for permission, can you proceed with, is that too much?
I don't think you're asking for
It's more of a
permission.
courtesy
I think
call,
it's,
It's a
Notification.
Yes.
notification, yeah. The town's
Okay,
giving you
so
the permission to set fireworks
You're
off.
you had to get.
Please go
notification.
notify your neighbors.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I will tell you, like, I mean, I have no problem saying, I live on Pottle Street. Nobody on Pottle Street should, based on this policy, be able to set off a firework. Because section 13 clearly states fireworks must be discharged at the greater of 7.5 meters from any building, structure, or vehicle. And on my street, you are not going to get more than 7.5 meters. So if I decided I wanted to discharge fireworks in my backyard, regardless of whether I've gotten the permission of the neighbors or not, I don't meet that basic criteria. Now,
25 feet.
Counselor Winters may have, in his neighborhood, he may have sufficient room, space, but I mean, you got to kind of know your neighborhoods, and I guess that's, to me, that's what works about this, is because, you know, when you don't have those tree buffers, like, I live in a neighborhood where, when they developed our neighborhood, they took out all the trees. So, if you live in an older part of town, and you've got that buffer between properties, then you're not getting, you know, I mean, my neighborhood had fireworks on December 31st, and the residue was on people's vehicles in their driveways. It was, yeah, it's too close.
Yes, and, but 27.5, 25 feet, correct?
25 feet, yeah.
Yeah, so in the back of a property, I'm just assuming you're saying that, but I mean, if some of these people are putting them in the back of their yard or in the backyard, and they fall into 25 feet?
I live on Pottle Street,
Yeah,
and
and I
so
don't know how
I'm
we-
telling you, living on Pottle Street,
With the garage, you're.
there is no way that you are going to be able to discharge. I don't know if there's anybody on our street that doesn't have a shed or a garage,
Yeah,
but
that-
it says that you have to be greater than 25 feet from any building, structure, or vehicle.
Yeah.
I can't see it, Counselor Odell, on
Okay,
my
no,
street
I-
working.
yeah.
And that's why I'm saying, like, people need to pay attention to this. Know your neighborhood, know where you want to put them off. And, you know, if it comes to a matter of maybe people want to apply for a permit to set fireworks off in an open pit area somewhere, then, you know, that would be probably a good workaround.
I think the job for the town staff and the council now is to, really educate the public when this is passed. And
Yeah,
Do
and it all
as
goes
much
back
as
to
we
the
can.
policy. Like I say, we have the policy now,
Yes,
and
move forward.
like Councilor Rumble stated, is all this will be taken care of.
Yeah.
Because when you have to apply for a permit, that's where all this process takes place,
That's correct.
right?
And
So
then-
that fire chief knows exactly where it's gonna be.
Yep.
And he's the one who's issuing the permit and can say, you're not allowed to. There's nowhere you can do it.
Yep.
And
Or
again,
you're
this is the
not.
thing of questioning, is that when someone comes in for a permit, they have to say, the address that I'm looking at setting up.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
And it is that way now.
Yeah, okay,
It's just not a number of.
not a number.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, so the only other thing I was gonna mention was the community safety plan. There is a second survey out, and for anyone who can't access it online, internet, whatever, you can pick up a copy at the town office. And I encourage everyone out there who got issues with public safety in this community that you should fill one out.
Okay, thank you. That's it for you, Deputy Mayor?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, I will move on now to municipal services. Anything to report, Counselor Williams?
No, we don't have any recommendations for municipal services
All
for
right,
this.
thank you. Counselor Winters?
Community Services Recreation, we just have one. There's gonna be they're requesting a flyby during Pride Week, and it's pretty clear for all council to see in the package, so when it comes time to vote, I guess that's when we'll figure out what happens.
Okay, perfect. All right, so that's it for today. CAO, you have anything you want to add? Nothing? Okay, so I guess we'll adjourn the meeting, and we'll we have to go into a closed meeting now? Okay, so the meeting is adjourned.